Welcome everybody to a special edition of No Thumbs. In the building today, we have Captain Paul. How you doing, Paul?
What's going on, Swifty? Thanks for having me on.
No problem. And our guest of honor, LG McDonald. How you doing, McDonald?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for having me. This should be lots of fun.
All right. I know a lot of people have a lot of questions. I tried to include everybody's questions. I some of them were long, so I tried making them shorter, so condensing them. But there's a lot to cover here, so let's get into it. But first, McDonald, why don't you just not many people know about you, so maybe give us an introduction to yourself, what you do, maybe your playing career. I don't know. Give us an introduction here to LG McDonald. Go ahead.
All right, so gamer tag LG McDonald. Most people call me Brody that know me. Been with the league, with the community for 10 years, since pretty much NHL 09. Director of hockey operations for the website. So basically, all our free-to-play leagues, all our esport leagues, pretty much anything that's hockey related comes directly through me. I've only played probably 5 or 6 seasons on PlayStation. I was late to the career there, but on the Xbox side since we merged the leagues in season 17. Was a former commissioner and league staff on LeagueArena.com when the former league was called VHL. That's pretty much my career here.
All right, I used to play VHL. One season, I think it was with Windsor, actually.
Lots of fun back there. That was lots of fun on that site too.
Well, being a manager was painful inputting those stats on that fucking little page there.
Absolutely. We used to do random assignments and stuff through a Google Doc, waivers on a Google Doc.
Yeah. Thank God everything's automated.
Yeah, we're on greener pastures now for sure. Way better.
Right. Anyways, our first question is from Fleet God. He's named Fleet Mod in my Discord because he's a mod. Anyways, yeah, no, that's fine. I have a bad sense of humor. Anyways, what are your usual everyday tasks for the league and / website during the off season and in season? So basically, he's asking what does day to day look like for you for the off season, and in season you can just take it. You can answer it as you go. You can do it anyway. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So day to day for me, normally I get between 50 and 100 site PMs daily. I usually see anywhere from 400 to 700 notifications on my phone from Discord, from the website, from Twitter, from Twitch, from where else? All the different social channels we use. I see close to that a day. If you look at my iPhone, time on screen, I'm anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day, which is a little aggressive, and don't really want to admit that, but that's how high it is. Day to day for me is so basically my role right now as the director of everything is a more quality control. So all the league staff and the DAG staff, they're the ones that handle day to day operations of the league. So anything that comes question wise or rule stuff, rule related rulings, all that stuff, the DOG and the commissioner staff handle it. Mm-hmm. My role is so those PMs, majority of those PMs, I don't really have to action myself. I tend to just read them just to ensure that the answers that the staff is giving is A, correct, B, representing professionalism that we want from the website. Kind of from there. As for actual button pushing and stuff on the site, so all of the new player vetting, so going through the system, checking over all these new players that are coming to our league, it's my role to ensure that I check through all the vetting of that.
Right.
I also review pretty well on a weekly basis. I review all of the ban appeals. So if a player is removed from the league, the actual removal process itself, with the exception of second tagging or anything that's really severe that results in a capital ban. Mm-hmm. I'm not actually directly involved in the actual ruling itself. Yeah. So what I end up doing is I'm the person that goes in and just reviews, was this ban legit? Did this person quit for a legitimate reason? Was it a personal issue that they had to step away from the league? Was it a CHL training camp player that just missed a 72-hour window because, they weren't aware of how the league operated, so on and so forth. And then obviously, we try to have weekly meetings with staff. I just got off a call with staff earlier. I've been literally on Discord since 7 talking with the staff, going over rule changes for next season at all 3 tiers for both leagues, so on and so forth. So, a lot of it right now, this position is day-to-day operations, if that's what it looks like for me, as well as fielding any discussions or topics where companies who come to LG that want to offer sponsorship for events or tournaments.
Right.
It's Triz and myself that sit down and handle all that day-to-day operation stuff as well as they come. So yeah, that's what it looks like for me.
Nice. And by the way, chat, if you have any questions, just hold off. Like I saw, like, well, one of them's obvious. Like this, this Ice asks, "What do I do if I see someone second tagging?" You report it. Like what do you think? Like I think that's pretty obvious. Like, you know what I mean? So we'll hold off on that until if you have any questions, just hold on to them. We'll get to them eventually. But yeah, so let's move on to the next one. So the next thing about here is in season 32 there was a expansion in the CHL. The ECHL was added. The first question in relation to this is how have you viewed the expansion? Meaning, have you viewed it as a success? Maybe I obviously it can't be a failure, but you know, like how have you viewed it? And do you have any regrets about how anything was handled, or would you do anything differently? You can go ahead.
So if you're talking about the ECHL being added to the lowest tier, right? You're not talking about
correct.
ECHL.
Yeah, season 32. Yeah.
Okay, so for me, as the numbers have increased drastically as the season has progressed, and with the PlayStation side of the league being added as well too, and there's a lot of new faces coming there. It was necessary to add more playing opportunity for players. The ECHL was obviously the easiest route, the biggest way to do it, the new opportunity. So I do agree. I don't really look at it as a failure because the goal, especially at the CHL tier, is to offer as much playing time as possible for all the new players that are coming into the league, and just offer we offer such a unique experience in LG that the goal always is to share that experience with as many people as possible so they can continue to play here, enjoy the time, and so on and so forth. As for regrets or changes, one of the biggest ones that I think comes to mind right away is how we handle the overflow. We have a ton of overflow players, a ton of players that sit in the training camp that never really get to, they pretty much window shop, right? They get to watch everyone else have fun in their league and they never get an opportunity to play. So I think that when I talk about things that I wish we could do better or wish I could have done better, it's always in related to how we handle the overflow players and our training camp players, and to keep them active and just to really be as inclusive as possible to ensure that they happen. I do think too that I wish there was a better way for us to show appreciation and have retain managers at that tier. Management's such a thankful position for so many players that I think that I wish there was more that we could do to kind of show our appreciation so we can keep more experienced people in those positions, which then in turn allow us to grow and expand quicker with less headaches, because obviously as we have more experience there, people know how to handle it better. Yeah, that's pretty much the gist of where my views are on the expansion. It would have been, obviously, it's always a goal to try to be competitive and have a competitive league. Unfortunately, when you're expanding and we have so many new faces on the website that potentially have never played organized sixes hockey or have never played at that tier, it's tough to be to remain that super competitive balance that we were looking at for so long. I remember when we were jumping from 26 CHL teams to 43 to 60. When we made that jump from 43 to 60, everyone had the same complaints. Everyone was like, "Oh, I really wish we had, I wish we were more competitive. I wish, we had this. I wish we had that." And after a few seasons, the league kind of rebounded and grew and was good. And now we have so many people that were would wish we'd go back to 60, right? So I do think that over time that it does take time for that to come back. I remember in VHL when we were 12 NHL teams, no AHL, and then we got the full NHL, and then we added 10 AHL teams, and it's always that same concern about, is this still going to be competitive? As time progresses, we can definitely, those issues go away because people kind of get used to the system and players get better and that type of stuff. So that's kind of where I'm sitting at with all the whole expansion stuff.
Swifty, because you mind if I just ask kind of a follow-up?
No, I was about to throw to you, Paul. Go ahead.
So, along the lines of expansion and whatnot, now you say, because we did expand from the 60. Is there any fear that we're kind of at the max of a player base for competitive sixes leagues because of just NHL kind of being not necessarily a small market, but a smaller market than most sports video games? Do you think we're kind of at the cap of what we should have at this league for teams, or do you think there's room to grow? Do you think there's
Most
more
people
people?
don't. Yeah, so I think what most people don't realize is there's about 175,000 players per console that play ESHL. So for us to look at being 9,000 of that, potentially 350,000 players, we're a really, really low percentage. And every year, if you look at we have players who started in this league at 15 that are now, in their 20s and are top tier ESHL players, top tier esports players playing for money. Right. So every single new game that drops, we're going to have that brand new 15-year-old that, maybe plays junior hockey, knows the game, loves hockey, and gets good at video games. So for us to really say that, are we at the capacity yet? It's hit or miss. I think I like to continue to grow as best as we can. I think for a while now, we're going to remain where we're at. Having the complete 60 plus our 26, having 86 at that lower tier. I think that's my comfort zone right now. Like, everyone always asks questions about like European expansion or college teams or all this other crazy shit. But in my opinion, I think 86 is where I'd like to stay. I don't want to expand any further than that. I'd like to stay put at 86 and then get back to that competitive environment everyone wants again, and then kind of reevaluate and see where we go. The esports team's a big part of it, right? You have teams right now playing in the Northern Arena event for 10 grand, and Catch Gaming, what they did this year was super crazy and cool, and the constant interest that's coming to us for our website for esports events on a weekly basis is like so overwhelming at times that I think that that as that continues to grow and more NHL teams jump aboard and it just gets bigger and bigger, that we're just going to bring more people to the space. And in my opinion, obviously I'm biased, and everyone on this committee should be biased as well. Like, esports hockey is sixes; it's nothing other than sixes.
I agree.
Maybe threes for something fun and different. But it's not
why Hut's in the mix. Like,
it's not 1v1, right? Like, it's sixes hockey. That's the true to form hockey, right? That's right. Hockey as a sport, all that stuff. So I definitely think that I like to hold tight at 86. But to think that we are maximized at the talent pool right now, I don't know. I don't think so. So we'll see.
All right, Paul, you satisfied with that response? I don't know.
No, I'm pretty. I guess I'd have to see satisfied. That's kind of just his opinion on it. It's just going to be interesting to see with expansion, with this continued expansion. Hopefully, we bring more people into the website because like last season, and Schwifty can probably attest to this. Unless you kind of got lucky or you traded really well, having decent TC players was very hard to come by.
No, absolutely. I definitely do, I'm sure. But at the same time, though, if you watch the way the NHL playoffs ended last season, where the Anaheim Ducks gaming was following the Anaheim Ducks of the LGHL, the exposure the league is getting is at a whole nother level. And without really talking about too much in depth yet, there's potential possibility that we're going to see more of what we saw in the playoffs, but for the season. So if we're going to have NHL organizations that are going to follow their LG team and really promote the league, that's going to open up a whole level. And all these new players that come to the site are going to be at the CHL tier because they're not going to get exemption status or whatever. They're just going to literally come in, flood the CHL, and give you guys all an opportunity to have more players. Quality player, maybe that's hit or miss. But volume is still going to continue to be there, especially at that tier.
Look, we all love DJ JoJo. Nobody's saying anything bad about DJ JoJo. We all love him here. He's a friend of the show. Anyways, well, he doesn't know who I am, but we love him. Anyways, let's move on. So there's always this talk about a split eventually, where the CHL is going to become an all prospects league, and then the ECHL becomes more for the vets and the amateurs. Do you see this as a possibility in the future? And can you clarify if the ECHL will just be A's and B's, and will the CHL just purely be, I guess, prospects and draft prospects? I'm gonna guess maybe amateurs too. I'm not sure. Do you have a future outlook on this kind of thing? You can go ahead.
Yeah, so I have a document completed for exactly that, for separation. It should go public. I'd like to make it public prior to next season so everyone kind of knows my timelines and where we're sitting. So those of you that sat in the management meetings at the start of last season, I went over that with everyone to kind of talk about what the plans are. The goal is to – so the original goal was to get to the complete 26 team ECHL. So in order to do that, we left it currently where it is in the CHL. We expanded enough to get 86 teams. So as the league continues to grow and grow and grow and grow, we get more players. So the goal then would be we'll take the ECHL and we'll separate it completely from the CHL. But instead of it looking like, everyone, if you can picture this in your mind right now as a straight line, it goes NHL, AHL below it, CHL below that. So then rather than going to a system where it's NHL, AHL below it, CHL below it, ECHL below it, that bottom tier actually becomes it'll be NHL, AHL, ECHL, and CHL will be both on the third tier, but side by side and different. So they offer different experiences. So yeah, the idea would be to take all the veteran players, with the exception of those who'd like to be management. They would move to the ECHL, and then we would take all the prospect players. They would continue to go directly to the CHL. And then the amateur players, there's a bunch of different things we could do with them. We could flip them so we give them an option that when they sign up for the season, they'd pick their lowest tier. So let's say they sign up an NHL bidding. At that point in time, they'd pick, okay, I want to go, if I don't make NHL bidding and I don't make AHL bidding, I would pick, you could pick CHL or ECHL bidding, because the goal would be those two bidding sessions would go at the same time because they're two different player bases. Obviously, we'd have to look at things like position and positional needs. The ECHL being 26 teams, it'll need less goalies, less defensemen, but we're also going to have to make sure it stays afloat. So, be priority to ensure that goalies, defensemen, and those people continue to go to that place. Based on the numbers for the last 2 seasons, the numbers support a split right now. If we mirrored exactly the amount of players that were in last season to this season, we could split them tomorrow, and there'd be enough veterans and enough amateurs that would likely play at that tier to support a complete amateur/veteran ECHL that would have approximately, I think it's 6 to 9 training camp players. And then the CHL becomes prospects, which is huge. And then once again, we'd allow amateurs and veterans to play or be managers at that CHL tier. And then the amateur players could have an opportunity to go to the CHL as well to continue off their development and success, whatever they want to call it at that level. So that's kind of where I envision it. It does a couple things for us. So it takes out that whole random veteran debate that everyone has about should they be in the CHL playing against brand new players. It puts them on a whole different tier. It also allows amateur players to, maybe who feel more comfortable staying at the CHL tier to do that. It gives all the veterans an opportunity to, play against each other and stay competitive, because it's going to be, as competitive as it can be. They've all been here long enough. So that's kind of the direction we're going to go. My goal is obviously based on the numbers for this coming season. If we're able to maintain this coming season, 86 teams, decent training camp, active season, everything's good. My goal would be to split the leagues coming into winter season.
Right.
Looking at historical stats since season 17, so 20 seasons, the winter season tends to have the highest sign-up numbers. Yeah. So new consoles, Black Friday buys, Christmas buys, Boxing Day buys. We should see an increase in numbers for that winter season, which then would support a separation of the 2 leagues. Yep. So that's kind of where I envision all that.
All right.
Okay.
Paul, go ahead.
Oh, and so essentially, if let's say this next season signups don't hit exactly the mark, exactly where you want it to be, and it's a little bit less than you expect, are you just going to put off the expansion to another season, going to push it back into the spring, or would you still try to push forward, trying to get it into winter season?
No, numbers are going to dictate everything, right? So we got to make sure we have the numbers to do it. I don't want to separate them and then both leagues run thin. So I'd rather just make sure we have the numbers where they're at, and we'll go from there. So we're just going to really play it by ear. We're going to really incorporate the next season owners to talk about this stuff, hash over some ideas. Because even too, it's very easy to say veterans go here, prospects go here. It's very difficult to know what we want to do with managers, right? That's kind of that category where we can float people. I think that makes the most sense to float them, but to float them properly is something that is going to be a higher level of discussion with those of you that are in those management positions that are boots on the ground doing the day-to-day work. Those are the discussions we're going to have to ensure that we do it the right way to make sure that both leagues are supported and both leagues are still a good experience for everyone.
True.
Right. So speaking of sign-up numbers, season 37 sign-ups are open right now. So in relation to that, so Paul mentioned, what if the sign-up numbers aren't what you expect them to be? So I was thinking about this before the show. So basically, you could say COVID, and you could say, I guess, esports. You could say it played a role in people becoming more available to play LG and signing up more. You could say that as well. But like as we come out of COVID now, I think maybe not. Who knows? You can't really predict with this kind of thing because it's like, for instance, I live in Ontario and the numbers are back up again. Like you don't know how it's going to go.
Right. I'm in the neighboring community where the first high school was just shut down in Ontario. So
right. So COVID, it may have played a role in the influx of signups. You know, definitely the esports and getting that exposure. But also going into the next season, it's a new game cycle. Like, you know, you got the COVID restrictions easing up, but maybe not. Who knows? And then, you know, you also got new consoles, which shouldn't play a role in it, to be honest. But what if signups are less than anticipated? Like, for instance, less than the previous couple of seasons. How would you guys react to that? Like, I know. For instance, RVs aren't able to play on roster anymore. Like, let's say if signups are way less than expected, like, would you consider?
Okay, so,
you know, I love a good RV McDonald. Like, let's be honest, but it's true. Nobody's gonna deny it. But would something like that come across as me? I don't know. Like an idea like that if signups are less than expected for the CHL, because it is 86 teams, right? So I don't know, but you can go ahead.
So a couple things I'll discuss there too. So personally, if you look at like stats and stuff, those people that were working from home, quote unquote, or not at work during COVID, were what? People that are working 9 to 5, right? Your average, working like banker's hours.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm a shift worker. I didn't work from home. I'm a shift worker. Most of us that are shift workers went to work. So if you're an average Joe, so I shouldn't say average Joe, but if you're an average person that's working that typical 9 to 5 schedule, you're available to play LG at night, whether it's COVID or not.
Yeah, but my pushback on that is more so, for me, when I was working at the office, you do things afterwards with your coworkers too, right? In this climate, you can't. You have to. You kind of have to go home. There's nowhere to go. You could go to the bar, but it's not really comfortable. You know what I mean? But
yeah, but that's your perspective. Like, what's your age?
I'm 26. You know what I mean? So it is what it is, right? But that, like, I guess if you're younger, it's different, right? Like, for instance, if you're in university, like, you know, like it's a huge part of party life, like going afterwards and party. But like I said, I don't see it easing up anytime soon. You know what I mean? So
neither do I. So basically, in a nutshell, if we don't have the signups, quote unquote, we could revert back and cut teams from the ECHL to make it work. Personally, I don't want to go down the route where the RFP stuff is here to stay. That's not going to really change. It's beneficial to keep it the way we changed it. So if anything, we could just look at, okay, the ECHL was a league that expanded. We're going to maintain our 60 CHL and we'll go from there. But once again, I do not foresee us having to do that because A, like you said, the States is still rampant and wild. B, right. Ontario is like a premier in Ontario is literally threatening to close our province again.
Yeah.
Everyone I know that's in university is literally doing school from home. The social aspect of life is nowhere near what it used to be. And you know what? Who do you say that people may have been exposed to what the experience is in LG and like it enough to continue playing and maintain it. Right? So
it's all about the retention. I agree.
So I think we had enough growth that even if I think I did the numbers before, even if we had like 40% retention, it's enough to maintain what we have.
Oh, okay. And the numbers are looking good so far. The sign-up numbers. I don't know if you could tell.
Oh yeah, they're really good. We're gonna blast it weekly, so keep blasting it like probably every couple weeks coming up. I think most people's questions were just about the new consoles, like, well, if I buy a PlayStation 5, like, can I play NHL 21 in the league, like that type of stuff. So I definitely think that. So I definitely think that we're not going to have to take a step back, but if we do, the plan would be to cut from the ECHL and so on and so forth, right? So,
gotcha.
The plan's not to do that.
Anything to add, Paul?
No, he pretty much answered anything I'd have to ask.
You a Leafs fan, McDonald? Quick question.
Absolutely not.
All right, you said Ontario.
Smart
so
man.
You said
Smart
here in
man.
Ontario, so I just had to ask. All right. Anyways, I'm a diehard, and it's painful. Every day, every waking moment of life is painful.
Yeah, you guys had a good chance this year. You guys kind of shit the bed, so. But
No.
that captain trade you guys did well on.
No. I think our team's a mess, but anyways, let's move on. So speaking of like the expansion, so Killa brought up a point about draft eligibility and prospect eligibility. He gave his own take on like minimum 48 games played before you can be drafted, which is a kind of a stretch, but it's a good thought, right? To have some sort of draft eligibility. So basically the question here is more towards like, so prospect status, would you increase the number of games needed to be played to become an amateur? Would you set a limit on a number of games to you need to play in order to qualify for the draft? Because if you remember a while back, we had a Lemel and Doughty situation where I know that's a different situation because they clearly don't belong in the CHL, but when they were a prospect... Yeah, when they were a prospect, there was a whole situation there. Like, would you make them play games in order to get drafted kind of situation? I don't know. Because of this expansion and such, or this branch off, would there be any tweaks to the draft, the prospect status, veteran status? I guess amateur status, what qualifies for it. Would you make any tweaks to that to adjust for the branch off of the ECHL from the CHL? You can go ahead.
So I think yes to all the above. It's kind of funny being a Lemmy and Doughty for sure. Lemelin lives like 5 minutes. I can walk to his house right now. And he's like a guy I work with is dating his sister, which is kind of funny.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a small world. I didn't know that until like a month ago. So anyways, to answer your question, I definitely think that I have considered all of the above. So like you said, like we definitely need to think about, is 48 games as a prospect enough? Because eventually we'll likely get to a point where we don't have enough prospects anymore, right? So then what do we do with the CHL? So do we make the CHL an amateur league, and then the ECHL becomes a veteran league? But that's obviously years down the road. But I definitely do agree that we probably have to look at that 48 number. And I also don't mind the idea of having a minimum. The thing about a minimum is like we got to be some of the training camp players to ensure they get an opportunity, because it would suck if like you're. But then again, I guess if you're a really good training camp player, you'll be good enough to make a roster, thereby being able to make the amount of games, thereby being eligible to draft it. So I definitely think all those things are a consideration, but also another high level discussion that need to be had with the owners and those of you in management that like have experience and have a thought, have a take. To sit here and say like, yes, this is what we're going to do, I don't want to do that. I really want to sit down with you guys and like kind of hash this out as a group to think what's going to be best. But I definitely do agree with 48 should probably change.
Right.
We probably need a minimum, and then everything else can just stay the way it is.
Even the draft.
Of draft.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The owners always want more and more, but I think that if I'm going to add more rounds to the draft again, I'm probably going to put a restriction on how many draft picks an organization can have. Because it makes no sense to draft like 26 players and they all just go back to the
Boston have 11? I think they have 11 firsts.
Yeah, it's crazy. So it's like
I think you got to put a limit on that. That's a different conversation. This is a CHL show, but that's not realistic.
And it's also just not really beneficial. It just shows like how some teams just don't value those picks, right? You're right. It's a different discussion, but yeah, no. For your question, I definitely think that both those numbers need to be addressed, or reviewed, and looked at. So,
right.
So yeah, we'll see. Higher level discussion will definitely be. I can almost guarantee there'll be some changes. Those changes will be based on what the collective group and myself and staff feel is best for the league moving forward.
Right. Paul, anything to add?
No, it's like I said, that's pretty what I'm looking for. It would be interesting though to see if you're going to make that the minimum. I think you probably would have to adjust some of the other minimums to become an amateur, but like you said, it's kind of like a revolving, floating situation where it'll just kind of go where it turns. So that's pretty much all I got to say.
Okay.
Even too, if you look at it, the real CHL, like you technically can't get drafted till you're 18, right?
Right.
Correct.
So if you started playing the OHL at like 16, you play 2 seasons, blah blah blah. Do I really want to go 2 seasons to draft eligible? No. But we definitely need to look at, you can't come into the OHL as a 15-year-old, play fucking 6 games and get drafted. Like, it doesn't work. So we definitely need to look at that as well.
Yeah.
No, for sure.
Okay, let's move on. Okay, so the final thing in relation to this kind of subject is, I saw Nash tweet about this, and I was kind of inspired to ask you here. He wants crossplay on both consoles, like NHL sports crossplay. Let's say by some miracle, Xbox and PS4 or whatever agree to do crossplay, and EA makes a game where you could play NHL. You could play Xbox players on PSN and PSN players on Xbox. Crossplay, right? So complete crossplay. What happens to there's an Xbox league and a PlayStation league. Does the league have any sort of scenario where this, if this happens, what would happen? Like, you have 2 separate leagues, but technically now you only need one. Would you keep the 2 leagues? I don't know. Maybe you can answer the question if it ever happens. Like, clearly it's not happening next season. It may not happen for 5 years. Who knows, right? It may not happen at all. But it's just a question. It's like a hypothetical. You can go ahead.
For sure. So Nash's perspective is for esports, right? He'd love the ability to have, regardless of console you're on,
right.
Right. So, which I agree with. That would be great for ESHL and any NHL sponsored event. For the free-to-play simulation, for our leagues, right now having over 9,000 players, it would make no sense to crunch 9,000 players into a 3-tier league. It'd be impossible to do it, right?
Right.
So what we could do is one status quo. It is what it is. So if your main console is PlayStation, you sign up for the PlayStation League. If it's Xbox, it's the Xbox League. Or we go to a gold silver. So we have you know what I mean? So NHL be NHL gold bidding. So everyone goes to all the veterans and amateurs go to fucking NHL gold bidding.
Mm-hmm.
Teams are selected. Next round of bidding will be NHL silver bidding. Holy fuck, I can't talk. So we can do something like that as well too. So it's still 2 leagues, but each league has a gold and silver. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
So I think with the amount of players we have, it's almost impossible to really get away from what we currently have.
Right.
We could tier it all out, so it's we have fucking, I don't know, 6 different tiers, NHL, AHL, CHL, ECHL,
yeah,
Swiss League. You do that too, but it's does that water it down? Does it make it look stupid?
Right.
How do they?
Swift, do you mind if I use something that we had in a conversation earlier? Just got to use a point you brought up.
Yeah, you can go ahead. I think we're going to talk about this later, but I think I know where you're going with this, but you can go ahead.
So, McDonald, now let's say hypothetically that happens, right? They make it so it's cross-platform. There is other leagues, right? There's the European leagues in the game that you could use. Is there a way that, because I know the gold, silver, that's actually kind of an interesting idea I didn't even think of. But would you even maybe think about just using the other leagues that are using the game? Because I'm not off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure
SHL, I think, is in there.
Yeah,
the Liga, stuff like that.
So you could, but look at it this way. It's what happens if you're a veteran player and you sign up for NHL bidding?
Correct.
And then you get passed up on, and then you're passed up in AHL bidding, and then you're passed up in CHL bidding, and then you're passed up in SHL, and then
I would think CHL would remain the lowest level. I would think, right? And then you can European League, I would say, is below. Well, it may be above the AHL. It may, who knows? It depends how you look at it, right? I'm not sure.
If you're going to run 6 separate bidding sessions, one, the offseason would be insane.
I love chaos.
So yeah, you could add additional quote unquote satellite leagues to the system, but then it really fucks with call-up eligibility. What are the training camps made up of? What if we have add an SHL? Where does its TC or where does this sit in the scale? What bidding session comes first? Bidding is literally based to tier the players based on skill, right? That's the whole purpose of bidding. And having 2 different consoles does it well. It's NHL bidding same time, AHL bidding same time, CHL bidding same time. So it's it helps us tier it. So I don't know. There's definitely a lot of ways to do it.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
Yeah, it's I don't think it's gonna happen. It's like that's the most hypothetical question I probably have, like unrealistic. But both consoles hate each other, so I don't think it'll happen. But whatever, something worth asking. Anyways, let's move on. So the LGTC, it's not really highly publicized since its announcement. It's heavily criticized. How have you viewed the introduction to LGTC? I know it's kind of a placeholder for the eventual branch up, but how do you view it? Do you view it as a success? Maybe there's some bumps in the road. I don't know.
Work in progress.
Yeah, working. I don't know. You can
it's
go ahead.
To not be so critical. It's kind of a shit show. I like the idea of having something. I've been promoting and pushing for something.
You cut off.
You cut off, bud.
Oh no. His mic got a lot better, and then it died.
Just one sec. Hang on.
Okay.
Do you have Jeopardy music to play?
I don't have, dude. I got nothing. I didn't expect this. Oh, we got F's in the chat. That's not good.
Hey,
right.
Hear me out?
Yep.
Good. Sorry.
Perfect. Go ahead.
There you go.
Yeah, my wireless one's died, so I switched halfway. Yeah, so quote unquote, I think it was kind of a shit show. It's a great idea. It's a great concept. It's something we need. It's literally probably the most important aspect of the league, if I'm being completely honest. Like, we need something for these players to do while they wait to play in the big show, right? So, the system's cool. The system's awesome. It's gonna work, but it comes down to one of those things where it's like, not to be so critical of my partner, but it's like at times, tries to implement something and it's like, okay, it's done. It's like, well, it's not. It needs to be. This needs to be tweaked. This needs to be tweaked. This needs to be tweaked. And when it comes down time that actually has to happen, it's like, oh, I don't have time to do this, or this is on the back burner, or whatever it may be. So it's like, I really hate that we unfortunately introduce things that aren't like 100% complete all the time. It's kind of pisses me off. So I wish we would spend more time on having a final product before we release it.
Right.
With that being said, I think it's a cool concept and it'll probably work down the road.
Mm-hmm.
It definitely needs some work though. So work in progress is probably the most politically correct way to put it. That makes the most amount of sense to me. Is like, that's what it is. Obviously, we're open to ideas to make it better and how to fix this and give those guys an opportunity.
Right.
Everyone always seems to think, oh, it's super easy. Just make a new league and like tier it below. And it's like, you realize that every single season we struggle to maintain the staff we currently have or to get more staff.
Right.
And the staff that we currently have are they constantly burn the candle at both ends every single season. So to just be like, oh yeah, we're going to introduce a new league and have no staff, you're literally just going to burn out the current staff you have in the league that you want to be in, you want to play in, to the point where it's like, is this even effective anymore? What are we doing? Are we stretching everyone so thin that, oh my God, here we go. Everyone on staff, including myself, are volunteering their time to be a part of this. So it's like, fuck, it's just a lot of work to just create a whole other league and go from there. So
I feel you. Paul, anything to add there?
Well, because currently as constructed, the TC League's kind of it's okay. It's got a lot of improvement to do. Do you think maybe having a tie, not necessarily with each team because that would make it a little bit too tedious, but maybe like an ECHL TC team, WHL, and then you can have managers from each of those conferences that agree to become more involved in that TC League to make it a little bit easier just to manage overall. So it's kind of less work just for staff and just for a certain few people to kind of run the whole thing all together. Yeah,
I actually love that idea. I've actually thought what I wanted to do was have like an 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock game time where it was like, okay, TC London Knights are playing TC Windsor Spitfires, and the owner of those two teams is in charge of scheduling.
Oh.
But it's a pain in the ass for you guys for sure, but at least someone's going to be there to schedule it. And then it's like have their own little sub-league, blah, blah, blah. It's a pain in the ass. It's a lot of work. It's more work than what the current system is, but I always thought that maybe that's the way to go. Maybe we run it's a quote-unquote junior CHL league. Again, there definitely needs to be improvements, definitely needs to be changes, and definitely need to fix that system because the amount of players that just sit there, like I said, window shop is probably my biggest pet peeve. I really wish we had more for them to do.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, Iron suggested here in the chat that AGM should run the LGTC team. I don't know about that, but
yeah, good luck getting an AGM.
yeah, well. Anyways, yeah. So we did. I know you just touched on this about adding more tiers, but we had a user suggestion from Nugs. He said, "Why not add Euro leagues basically to replace the TC league?" We talked about the Euro leagues a little while, like just a bit ago, but instead of having like what you currently have, why not have a European league and have those players play in there, the TC players, you know?
Staff.
Yeah.
And then once again, though, it doesn't fix the problem. The problem is the players sitting on a training camp don't get to play. So you add another league, which is great. CHL goes, woo, we're good. But then the new Euro League goes, their training camp guys go, fuck, I have nothing to do. So you're just creating the same issue over and over again, right? Like, so you have to kind of fix the inactive issue for the training camps before we can just keep adding tiers and tiers and tiers and tiers. Like the root problem is the fact when you're on a training camp, you don't get to play.
Right. Man, everybody wants to get to the server selection, but we're going to take our time with that. Okay, we're going to take our time to get there. Fucking everybody wants to talk about it. But Bick pointed out that I edited this guy's name. Yeah, it was a hard edit. It wasn't like bannable, but I'm trying to keep things professional here. His name was not professional, so I just edited him.
Wow.
It's not a big deal. It's not COC or anything, but it has to do with Odell Beckham Jr. and what he likes to do on his spare time. If you know what I'm talking about.
That's aggressive.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, anyways, let's move on. Oh, yeah, so, yeah, these are the leagues you could potentially add. Like, even NCAA, he didn't include that, but like you said about the tier, we don't have to go over it again. So, I wanted to ask you quickly, about your thoughts. I'm not sure if you know too much about this or how much you know, but I want to ask you your thoughts on the new LG Players Association and support. What are your thoughts on the whole thing? There's 358 new, like, there's members in there. You know what I mean? What's your thoughts on, I guess, Pastor and Roland started it up. I think there's more. I don't want to leave anybody out, but I think it was mainly Pastor and Roland. What are your thoughts on this new organization, I should say?
So I'm in that Discord. I had a meeting this week, sat down with Roland, went over a bunch of stuff. He kind of walked me through their Discord, what their plans are. Sat down with CJ and the CHL staff, asked what their opinions are. So I've got I shouldn't say mixed reviews. That's not correct. I've got two different issues.
Right.
So one right off the bat, we'll go positive first. I think it's great. It's kind of cool to have an area where veteran managers, players, people can get together. They can discuss things, get issues, talk to a veteran guy in a, I shouldn't say less aggressive, but like maybe like in a situation that benefits them, so they can get answers and not feel intimidated, not feel like they're going to be judged, or not feeling they're going to be given wrong information for a competitive advantage, so on and so forth. Right? That's pretty cool. The only issue is that one issue I have is, and it's already happened, where it's like those guys have given managers incorrect information. So it's like you're using LG branding, you're claiming that you're the Players Association when you're not officially, blessed by us, and you're giving information that's incorrect. So we sat down and we nipped that in the bud right away. We're like, listen, like this is your warning. Like what you told those people is bullshit. It's not a rule we're implementing. You have no idea what the new rules are we're implementing.
I heard
so
about
don't fucking tell people things that aren't true. And if you do it again, I'm gonna blast to the website that you're not associated with us, completely disassociate anything from that, and you will have no talk with us, because it's like, this is ridiculous. The talks with Roland really well. He understood. He's like, yeah, that's a valid point. Like, we got to be more careful. So I think what I kind of said to CJ, and I was chatting about him the other day with this, I think that those guys that are in that chat that are willing to go to that extent, they would probably benefit us big time if they were part of the development team, handle the training camp game stuff, that stuff.
Right.
And then from there, really have CJ involved enough that it's like, okay, when they're giving information, it's correct, because that's so fucking vital. It has to be correct.
Right. Yeah.
And then, really utilize that as like a safe space for new players, new managers to kind of like, hey, ask some questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think that what's kind of gets lost in translation over the years, and people kind of forget, is the fact that like the CHL is very, how do I say this? Is like the people that are here for the right reasons. We have a lot of like veteran guys that come back that just like love it, like love the experience, like love the opportunity,
Right.
and like really grasp and get the concept of like, hey, like, you know what? I'm a decent player. I could probably play in the AHL, but I like the fact that I can build teams, grow, and develop, people on the website for their future of this website. I think there's a bigger picture stuff there that the CHL really gets, and a Discord of that nature, I think, really highlights the fact that we have some really fucking good people in our community that are willing to volunteer their time, not in a quote unquote official staff role, but in like a mentorship role where it's like, hey man, like I'm going to help you out because, I see the big picture. I see that LG is going to grow. I see that this is fun. I just appreciate the fact that I have a place to go play competitive hockey, and I want to help this grow. So I think that to end on a positive note, I think a Discord of that nature is like super beneficial and like super positive vibes for like all of us if we do it properly, and like really just like end this. This community has such a stigma of just like being so toxic, and there's so much bullshit on the internet all the time. It's just nice to have like a feel good story of like, random people for no benefit to themselves, no monetary benefit, are willing to help other people to just have a better experience. So sure. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. Anything to add, Paul?
Is there any fear of this new PGA or Players Association, I should say, unionizing?
I was thinking
demands.
That's funny.
Any fears of that? Like,
how many extra players did the CHL have last season?
Oh shoot, I don't know.
Over 1,500.
Mm-hmm.
Jesus.
So if there's
they got 358. I'm just saying, Paul. That's a good. I was thinking, listen. McDonald got really aggressive there about this league, and I was like, okay, no need to ask the question. Paul just went ahead and asked it. Go ahead.
So yeah, if those 385 players want to walk out, there's we'll pull in Keanu Reeves in the replacement, so we'll be okay.
That's right. We'll have replacement management. Awesome.
Replacement players coming up. We'll get some drop-in heroes to fill in, Anyways.
Absolutely.
Anyways, that's that. Anyway, we'll move on here. Okay, we're gonna get into some rule questions now. Okay. McDonald, I love my RVs. Can you just break down the new rule change? Getting rid of the RVs.
I think what's super funny is that you went to all that extent and you still lost.
Okay,
rip.
I sat there after. I'm like, I wasted all this fucking time and I didn't even win.
The best part about all of it is, to me, like what I love the most is like everyone ripped on you all season. And you're like, fuck this guy, like blah blah blah. And then it's like it's CHL, so you have that extra playoff, right? Memorial Cup's that extra week. And then I literally was like, the last month has been crazy. Like I sold my house, I got some personal shit going on. Like I haven't been as active as I'd like to be. So I would just tune in once in a while to see what the fuck's going on. And like I tuned in, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. Oh, here we go. Windsor made the finals. Fucking great. Like I'm listening to this fucking RV stuff for the next month.
Oh, hold on, McDonald. I want to point out I had 6 prospects on my team. That's more than half the league. Don't give me this nonsense. I'm a developmental team.
And then boom, and then I see like the big fucking the big L come your way after all that work, and I was like, what? Like,
you still had to hand us the president's banner. So
I'm like, if that's not karma, I don't know what is. So
what do you mean karma? What do you mean?
I'm just kidding. You gotta fucking relax.
No.
He means it. He means it.
My team nickname, they named me Stress Ball on the team because I stress over everything. So I can't relax. I'm always on edge, McDonald. Always.
I like it. It's old guys like you keeping the league alive.
Yeah, well. Go ahead.
So basically, the RAV change is going to be a veteran player. You have to be signed up before NHL bidding to be eligible to play on an active roster. So what that means is you can't skip NHL bidding, you can't skip AHL bidding, and it's like, oh, I'm signing up for CHL bidding. Here we go. So the rule last season was you had to sign up for AHL bidding to be able to make it that far. The kicker is we always allowed, that was to get the bidding. We always allowed a randomly assigned veteran who was assigned to the training camp at their highest value the ability to be called up. So to tie it all together is, if you're basically, in a nutshell, if you're a veteran player and you're not signed up before NHL bidding, you will not be eligible to hold an active roster position for the duration of the season. So that means you better be signed up before the deadline in order to play on an active roster.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the other kicker to that too is what we're going to do is we're actually looking at the random assignment script, and those players that do sign up, like you're a veteran player and you sign up on time, and you get bypassed in all 3 bidding sessions. You're not going to be randomly assigned at like your highest value. We'll give you that $500K contract,
right?
Which does allow you to kind of rejuvenate. So you're a guy that was good back in the day, and maybe you're not now, or just haven't played in a while. You're not going to carry that hefty salary that you had before. So we're going to go back to that system to allow that as well. So that's kind of the gist of it, and just make sure. So yeah, basically, just if you're a veteran, you've been around long enough, obviously, to get to a veteran status. You've played 27 games in the NHL, which is a full season.
Right.
Or you've played 54 in the AHL, which is 2 complete seasons. So by now, my expectations are that A, you know what you're doing, you know when the signups are, you know how the website works, you know how to read your PMs, you know how to look at your alerts, you need to check your email because we send it all to email too.
Mm-hmm.
So you know how the systems work. And if you want to play in the CHL, you're only going to be there is if you are bypassing NHL bidding and bypassing AHL bidding.
Right. Zumek asked, who the fuck was yelling "fuck Swifty"? Yeah, like I'm guessing you saw a certain Saginaw Spirits owner go at me all the time in the management chat. Right? Is that what you're referring to?
My shit's muted.
Oh.
No, I just mean in general. No, I mean in general. Like I like all the suggestions. Like I read the forums a lot more than people think. So a lot of the.
I definitely found that out.
Yeah. So a lot of the. I think a lot of the comments you got a lot of hate and stuff. I think for having that guy sign up late, blah, all that bullshit,
mm-hmm.
right? So it's funny because everyone made a big factor of it, and it's kind of crazy too. Like when I actually looked at the numbers, there was I can't remember specific. It's on my computer, but I'm sitting in another room right now. But it's less than 50. It was less than 50 randomly assigned veterans were in the league.
Right.
So it's that's crazy that less than 50 guys is causing this much of an issue. But it does make sense when there's such a variety of skill level, right? A randomly signed veteran player that's a decent second or third line NHL guy who comes down and is playing against players that are potentially have been bypassed through bidding sessions or are brand new, never played sixes. That is a drastic change in skill level. Mm-hmm. So, and sorry, one thing I didn't really add to that as well too is I put in the caveat that regardless of player status, the staff members are going to be eligible to play at any of the tiers. Just because I think it makes more sense if we have guys that are CHL, BOG, and staff that are going to play, going to the CHL tier to be a part of that community, part of that league. And since so many fucking people have called me out, I'm going to go to CHL bidding this season.
Yes! Yes!
And I'll play down.
Welcome to the sea.
And to be fair, I really like the times being earlier. So it'll be beneficial for my personal schedule as well.
We're gonna have to have a guest spot for McDonald every week.
Well, I want to play a bunch of once the game's on stuff, I'm gonna play a bunch of scouting games and stuff too, just to kind of get a feel for it. But yeah, it should be fun. I'm excited. It should be good times. I'll probably go for way more than I'm worth.
Yeah, you're looking at $8 million, dude. I'm just throwing that out there.
Yeah,
I'm really hoping I don't drop. Oh.
I'm dropping a 10 mil bid on McDonald.
There you go.
Day.
There you go.
Yeah.
Welcome to the CHL. Here's your 10 mil.
Yeah, welcome to the no management list after that.
Oh. Dude, I'm gonna get 10 mil too, so you can join the club. It'll happen because of this show.
You're not managing?
No.
Why? Because you lost?
You just had to throw that in there, didn't you?
I'm
Well, okay. So, in my opinion, towards once the bar down beauty trade went through, nobody wanted to fucking deal with me after that. But also, McDonald, you don't understand how much time my management, this is just off the rails here a little bit, but my management team, Fly, Trimmy, myself, you don't understand how much time we've put into this Like we've been on calls for like 5 hours a day talking about what we're gonna do and our next steps. We go after every single manager. It's not like we have multiple scenarios. We plan for everything. We put a ton of time into scouting, bidding, trades, development, everything. It takes people don't understand this. If you want to win the mem like I've always wanted to do, which will never happen, but if you want to win the mem, you need to put in the time. Like you need to do it. And Iron did it for his team. That's why he beat us too. Because I understand that they play 12s and they practice. That's the only team we looked at that could compete with us. Because they put in the time. They put in the same amount of time that we did. So when you put in all that time and then you get to the end only to lose, it is crushing. Crushing.
It's a fucking grind. Man.
It was a crushing feeling to lose. It was crushing. I'm getting emotional talking about it. You see, way to go.
And that is why I run this league, because we've created this environment where it's like you're playing for a sticker in the chat box that means nothing under a name that people don't even know you, and it means so much. And that's why we do it.
I've been playing for 13 seasons. You know, I got a somewhat successful show, I guess. You know, just I do everything the right way too, and then it just doesn't. You know,
I hear it. Like you said it best. It's an absolute grind. Like it is a long fucking haul. Like it's a long haul. It's 13 plus weeks of just like every single day. It's what you do, and it's a grind. So I get it for sure. I definitely get it.
Right.
But you'll go to bidding. You'll get halfway through the season, and you go, "Fuck, I miss it." Then you'll end up being an AGM on the team.
No, but also okay. This is off subject, but as we're almost done, to be honest. But the thing is, I want to do more media too, and I feel like
there you go.
I feel like I'm on the show. I feel like I'm more contained because
you don't want to look a certain way due to you being management.
Yeah, I don't want to come out and shit on people, and then I have to go trade with the guy. Do you know what I mean?
That's totally fair. That's totally fair.
Like, I kind of want to be more critical of people and take more critical stances. Oh, thank you, Excel, for the sub. But
that makes total sense.
I want to take more critical stances on the show, and I'm just not. Oh, it was Fleet God. Okay, thanks for the gifting 5 subs, Fleet. Appreciate it. Like, I want to take more of a critical stance on some things, and I'm just not. The music's gonna keep popping up. This is great. There it is again. But you know, it's harder to do that when you're managing because you can't. Like, for instance, it wouldn't matter because. Like, I go after Sprangy, for instance. Sprangy's a good guy. He's still willing to trade with me, but I kind of feel bad facing him if I'm critical of him. You know what I mean?
No, you're right. It's people take the shit so seriously that even like, when you're being constructive with people, they just take it such the wrong way, and that's the joy of the internet sometimes. But that makes total sense. Total sense, for sure.
Yeah, the power of this... Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Well, Shrifty, you just got to be a little bit more like me. Just start insulting people.
Well, okay, you just... I don't know about that, Paul.
Yeah,
you just go. I think McDonald knows about that.
Just be like more like Paul. Just be completely ignorant to how actually the league fucking operates.
Whoa!
Make completely outlandish claims only to lead to me making conversation and him being completely like, "Oh my god, I am in the principal's office. I'm such a little girl now."
Oh no! Most of what I said had some merit, and I say it with some flair. But I will say when I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I did have a point regarding the RVs and shit.
You realize that if you just talk louder, it doesn't make you sound more intelligent, right?
Whoa. Oh, this is we got a lot of questions left still. Like, come on, let's keep things on the rails.
I will give you that. The only thing you were right about was the RV stuff needs to change. Everything else was just like, this guy doesn't have a fucking clue.
Whoa. Ooh. The one thing I will say, okay, we're off the rails now. Might as well get into it a little bit. The one thing I was surprised about McDonald, I wasn't going to mention this, is you didn't take a salary of any kind.
What do you mean? Oh, yeah, no, I don't know.
Yeah, nobody knew. Okay, thank you for the cheers, Fleet, but you're just distracting me now.
You shouldn't say no one knew, because I think majority of the older people on the site, like Jet and all the guys from Doghouse, all of them know.
They do? Oh.
Absolutely. They've been around long enough to know that like I don't make money from this. So what happened was season 17 it came over, we merged VHL.
Mm-hmm.
I was league commissioner over there, and at the time prior to the merge, I actually wasn't involved with the league staff. I had some personal shit going on, so I stepped away. Comes back and league arena's on fucking in shambles, league's fucked. Everyone's like, we want to go to LG and play there, but we want you to run the league. Right. And I was just like, I don't know if I want to do this again. Like I just had so much going on. I was like, fuck. So what ended up happening was a bunch of people, like top tier players, like organized a sit down with Triz, and they wanted me to go represent them. So I went, represented them, talked to him. He lives in Toronto, and I'm just north of Ottawa, so we ended up meeting in person.
Right.
We kind of sat down. I was like, "What are your expectations?" He's like, "These are what I want. This is what I kind of want from the league." I'm like, "This is what I want from the league." So we kind of went into a partnership after that, moved the league, and it's been history since then. After about, I don't even know, maybe 5 or 6 seasons, my name on the website went from orange to red. And the only reason why I went from orange to red was my privileges on the website had been increased to like the administrator side. So there's only Triz and I now that have access to like the deep administrative stuff. So like now changing form names and like a bunch of that crazy stuff, right? It's only him and I that have that. So I think the confusion comes from the fact that, his name is the same color as mine, and he's the website founder, and everyone else owns the site. So I think that the confusion kind of comes from the fact that his name is the same as mine, and he makes money on it.
The only bite back I'll have, that I don't want this to go completely off the rails. The only bite back is
it's off the rails. It's already off the rails.
It's already off the rails. But I had some veteran guys I'm not going to name that have been around that kind of told me different. So that's what I remember when I made that. The only reason I made that assumption was because I had a few different people that have been around since season 1 or 2 tell me that you made money off of it. So that's why there was a misconception on that.
Like the other thing too is like if you're a veteran man, it's just a good example. So if you're a veteran manager of the league and you actually read everything I put on the site, you would see that I'm one of the biggest advocates to get rid of the ban buyout system. So if I was making money from the website, why would I ever want to remove something that makes money on the website? Right,
that makes sense.
Right? And the other thing too is like, I live in Ontario. I'm a professional firefighter in Ontario. Like go Google average salaries of what my career does. Like I make very good money in my career. And I do this simply for the fact that I just enjoy it. Like I enjoy the hobby. I'm at a buddy's place right now where I'm living currently. There's like 6 people in the living room watching hockey, drinking pints, having a good time, and I'm sitting in the other room talking to you guys right now. Like I enjoy doing this. It's a good hobby, and it's literally night and day from my professional career. Like I run into burning buildings and see people on shitty days, and deal with a lot of like high stress situations and mental health and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I just enjoy the fact that like this is completely different. And the other side of the coin is this has given me some pretty incredible opportunities. Right. Like, I get to go to Vancouver 3 times a year and bitch them about how to fix their game.
Really?
I get the game for free. Like I'm
GM
part of the
connected.
Game Changers.
We need GM connected. Get back in the game.
My name has been in the credits for the game since NHL 17.
Really?
I've got a lot of, absolutely. If you go look at the credits, I'm at the very end. It's very cool I have a lot of cool experiences. Like I can pick up my phone and call Mark Savard right now. Like I have a lot of, Mark Savard played in our league. Like I had a lot of really cool experiences from that were only possible based on my opportunities that LG granted me. So, and then when we expanded to PlayStation, I'm not a PlayStation player. Like I never was. Right. So what happened was Boxing Day sale, the PlayStation Pro went on sale for like fucking $200. So Triz is like, hey, I bought you a PlayStation. It's on the way. I think it's beneficial if you play in the league because you run it. So I was like, sweet. So the only thing I've ever gotten from LG was a PlayStation that was a Boxing Day sale. So I could play in that other league, which was like, do I really want to do this? Like I'm playing in both fucking leagues, which is like, this is so time consuming. It's crazy. Yeah. But once again, it's like, when I want to be in that position, I have to be involved if I can. And that's one of the things that, the CHL community is very, wants to hold me accountable to the fact that I'm making decisions for a league I don't play in, and everyone wants to talk about being disconnected. So I was like, well, here's an opportunity for me to go play in that league, get some experience I don't have, and go from there. So, but yeah, no, so yeah, I definitely no. And here's the other thing: it's like I was in Vegas last June when John Wayne won second place to Top Shelf Cookie. I was at that event. I was at that, yeah. So I went down with our head sponsor from Space Esports, and we were running all that esports stuff. I went down with Mike and met some people, and I actually met the guys that from Face It that have an NHL contract. So I know what the NHL contract value is, and that it's extraordinary how much Face It's being paid to run 1v1 events for the NHL.
Yeah.
So for me, having I have a career, I have a pension, I've got benefits, I've got a really good job behind me. For me, I'm not looking to make a couple bucks. But if the NHL, if this keeps going, the NHL came knocking one day, and let's say it's a multi-million-dollar contract, and people can say, "Oh, that'll never happen" or whatever. But I like to dream big. So if one day, if the NHL comes one day and says, "Here's $1 million to do exactly what you're doing," then obviously I'll take a pay cut then, because it's like that's drastic, that's life-changing stuff.
Right.
But until that day, I'd rather just keep volunteering my time and enjoying my time here, and putting as much into the website as we can going forward. And that's one thing too, is people. I know what LG makes, so I'm not going to go on record and say what that is, but it's not nearly what people think it is.
Yeah.
And the amount of money that goes back into the website is like pretty good. And what people don't know is like, Triz is a programmer by trade. He does a lot of work from home and does a lot of work on a private contract. So when he's working on stuff for LG, it's either on his own time, like at night or weekends, or he's taking away hours that he could be putting into work that he's being paid to do. And paid really well to do. So we just see like so much goes right back into the website, because it's like, once again, it's like, you're not gonna live on this type of money right now anyways. So we'd rather just keep throwing it back in and keep placing our chips on the table, hoping that we're just gonna hit big one time, right? So that's what we keep doing.
Okay, and thanks for the gifted sub, Potato, by the way. I just messed him. Anyways, we got to get the show back on the rails because it's way off now. Okay, so Fly asked the question. Okay, so just to get back to the RV, just to finish it off, there's a slight difference for the PSN side. Like, you could be a veteran and go into AHL bidding. Can you explain the reasoning there?
I've staggered rules in the past based on league, based on experience. So as an example, I just had this conversation an hour ago or whatever. So I think last season in the CHL we allowed managers to play at a position, right? And the PlayStation side of the league, we didn't offer that at all. So there's definitely variances. So I think that the RV issue that's being brought to the forefront so much is such a larger issue on Xbox than it is on PlayStation, that in order to be 100% sure that this rule is effective and going to work, I want to try it on one side before I implement on both. So that's kind of why it's that way. Like, same thing too, we might see some slight variances in the schedule based on PlayStation versus Xbox, based on how susceptible the community is going to be to change. Now, the PlayStation side of things is still, quote unquote, in the honeymoon phase. 15 seasons in compared to 37 seasons in. And those guys that have been around, we'll say 20, because we're 20 seasons in roughly, right, since we merged. But those guys that have been around for 20 seasons, are in the day-to-day grind, the daily grind, manage, and they get in that mindset of I don't want to change. And I respect it. In my personal life, drastic change I fucking hate as well. But the PlayStation side of things is still bright and shiny to them. So sometimes when we have a drastic change idea, I'll implement it over there first to see if it's effective. Maybe I'm completely out to lunch and it's not going to work, or it works really, really well. So when I come back to the Xbox side, where the guys are maybe more opinionated and more critical of the decision, I can be like, boys, we did this on PlayStation. Here's the results. So your concerns of well, what if this happens, have already been addressed because we did it for the last 3 months on PlayStation. So this is the same kind of idea, but in reverse. So we're gonna address an issue on Xbox, and then if it's successful and effective, which it likely will be, we'll then implement it on PlayStation, thereby preventing this issue to ever really be to the degree it is on Xbox.
Right. Okay. Let's move on to the next question. We got it from our buddy, Swede. I'm pretty sure you're familiar with Swede. Anyways, he said the 3 strikes. This is a good question. The 3-strike system was implemented when we only played 2 or 1 games a day. Now it's 3 games a day, and in the CHL, it's going to be potentially, like, I know it was talked about sometimes, 3-3-3. I don't know if that's, I'm not the PA, I'm not going to throw out anything, maybe, you know what I mean? But, yeah, you know, it's 3-3-3 NHL, AHL, maybe CHL 1. I'm not, like I said, not the PA. But, so basically, if you're signed up for 1 day and you miss, if something happens, you're pretty much at the mercy of the manager not to get 3 strikes and out, right? So
that's not true.
Really?
So, well, if you read the rules state that as a player, if you have have a valid reason, the strikes aren't going to be deemed valid. So if you are striked out for a Monday and you told the manager, "Hey man, I got called into work," your manager is a dickhead, keeps your schedule, strikes you, and then you're removed, and then you file your appeal, and you come to me and say, "Hey Brody, because I'm the one that looks at the appeals,"
right?
And go, I look at it and go, "Okay, well you were removed for 3 strikes, which is legit." And you go, "Yeah, man, but here's the screenshot where I showed my manager that I got called into work, and it's before the games. I'm going to unban you. I'm going to put you back in the league, and then I'm going to suspend your manager for being a dickhead."
Right.
So that's the protection's already in the rules. So I get his point that we didn't see very much of that on Xbox anyways. And to be fair, so you can officially say it, CHL will be going 3-3-3 as well.
Oh, we got some breaking. I don't have my soundboard up. The breaking news music.
I would give you a warning.
Oh, let me get that. Hold on. We got now. It's just stall, Paul. Ask a question.
Ask a good question. All right. So, I don't know. Fucking, how's your day?
That's not
throw me under the bus,
dude.
That's hilarious.
I have a
That's
soundboard.
So fuck, man. 3-3-3 does that. So that's gonna be. Is that gonna be this upcoming season?
Yeah, it will be this season.
Oh, okay. So Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. That's not bad.
Yeah, so it's going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I'm not going to confirm game times because we had some pretty good discussions, some high level discussions tonight with staff, and I don't want to confirm anything just yet because I still have a lot of my mind how I want to do it. But yeah, I will say 100%. It will be 3-3-3. It will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. I would like it to be Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and be different, but again, it's people don't change, and Sunday is a really, really strong day for availability, which I get, so that's fine. But yeah, that's where it's at right now.
Now, what's the main reason for switching it to the 3-3-3 format for the CHL? Is it
consistency? So the league all runs the same, and then even too, I really hope that we have there's some pretty cool things on the table for esports, and I wouldn't mind seeing more CHL teams, especially the high level teams that are they're big fish in the little pond. I wouldn't mind seeing them on their days off play ESHL, jump up, play in the Wednesday, Thursday events that we run. Just because it's hey man, you're a big fish in your little pond, but go measure yourself against some of the best players in the world.
We have something on that later though.
All right. Do you want me to wait for that question?
Yeah, we'll wait. We just gotta round it up. But that was your breaking news.
Sweet. Yeah. All right. So 3-3-3.
Yeah. I played the. It doesn't run through the Discord, but I played the music. I
believe you.
Anyways, let's move on. Okay, so this is a highly. There's gonna be maybe more breaking news here. Everybody loves the AGM, the whole thing. Okay, so the CHL is losing a protection tool in RVs now that you can't call them up to roster. They're pretty much TC now, and to be honest with you, they're pretty much useless at this point. But you're losing a protection tool. AGM was taken away a couple seasons ago. There has been talk. I don't want to speculate, but there has been talk of AGM, paid AGM coming back. Again, it's been my most requested subject. Well, besides the whole West, the server situation. Back in the day, they were 1.5. You can assign them, and they were protected. So basically, my question is, what's the situation going on with AGMs? You can go ahead.
I wonder if CJ's listening because he might be pissed if I drop all this, but fuck him, he could have came on too.
Well, I did. I think I floated it. I'm not sure if he said. I'm not sure if he's not watching right now. I think he's doing VOG interviews.
Yeah, actually, they are doing interviews. Okay, so yes, AGM's returning pre-bidding. So we just talked about. So this is all breaking news. So you can play this the whole time, whatever you want. But yeah, so I'll give you the gist. We just literally talked about this, and CJ made some good points, and this was their ideas, and I just kind of gave them a thumbs up. So the plan is this. If you select an AGM pre-bidding, they must meet the criteria for management.
Right.
Which will be, I think, official soon, and everyone can see it.
Mm-hmm.
They will have a contract value of $3.5 million.
Oh,
Ooh,
that's rich.
They will be call-up protected,
Oh, okay.
so they cannot be called up.
Right.
That's gone.
Mm-hmm.
And the other kicker is this: if you have a player under contract that's less than 3.5, you can promote them to AGM, protect them, they retain their current value. If you have a player that you win in bidding that is worth more than 3.5, that meets the management criteria, again, you can make them AGM, protect them. And can you see anything else? I don't think so. So that's how it's going to work.
So wait, so if you name an AGM and then you switch AGM, the guy you switched off of is no longer protected.
You can't switch it mid-season.
Oh, so it all has to be before the season. So
no. So it's like once you name an AGM,
Right.
if that person is your AGM until they do something drastically fucked up that gets them removed from ban.
Oh, okay. So if you do pre-bidding, you're okay.
So yeah, so you have options. So you can go pre-bidding, you can go free agent player 3.5 protected.
Right.
Pre-bidding,
And that's it.
you can go or pre-bidding, you can go roster player that you've re-signed or that is under contract,
Right.
regardless of the salary,
Mm-hmm.
as long as they meet the criteria, AGM. Or you can go, okay, I don't have anyone on my roster. I don't have anyone that wants to take my 3.5.
Right.
Go to bidding,
Mm-hmm.
win your whole team, and then take a guy for bidding and go, you know what, man, you want to be AGM, regardless of the salary, as long as he meets criteria, AGM.
And he's protected.
Protect.
And you could switch.
You cannot switch it
Once you name an AGM, there's no switching.
unless he gets removed.
Okay. That is your breaking news. All right. Got the wow. Anything to add, Paul? I know you're probably happy about this. Go ahead.
yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty. That's actually pretty nice. Now, what was the main reason for getting rid of the AGM in the first place?
Yeah, no, we wanted to ask this question too. We talked about why did they disappear in the first place?
What the fuck was my reasoning for that?
I think I know what it was actually. Actually, I wasn't in the room, but I can give you. I think it was something along the lines of you wanted to keep things uniform with the NHL and the AHL.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. I think it was because we took it from all the other leagues and wanted to keep it the same. And then the reason why we've added it back is the fact that the plan is to separate and to keep the. So when we do separate, the ECHL management will be the same as AHL management, right? So it'll be two guys, guy after bidding. But CHL, we wanted to not like cutthroat that league because it's going to be a prospects league with a blend of like amateurs. So to not cutthroat that league, we wanted to give you guys like 1, 2, 3. So those of you guys that are like veteran managers, you're like, oh man, I really want to stay in the C. It's my jam. I love it. It's like, here you go. Take 2 of your buddies and do it.
Eamon just asked a question. Are DPs excluded from AGM? So do you need permission for that for AGM?
So they are not excluded. You need permission from the NHL owner, and they're drafting up the letter right now to make sure. So the NHL owner has to understand that if they grant that person permission, they are locked to that role for the season.
Okay.
So yes, they're not excluded. They're definitely included as well too.
And we got some more breaking news coming in here. CJ has messaged me and said, "Tell Brody he can go fook himself, and he wants you to love his CHL commish." So, how do you react to that breaking news coming in here that CJ said, "Go fuck yourself," pretty much? Go ahead.
Yeah, maybe one day when he's relevant, his name will be read and he can make these announcements.
Wow.
Yo, McDonald's coming with the heat. I like it. Holy shit.
Wow. Okay.
Fuck.
Oxy in the chat noted CJ lover. Not happy with that comment. Anyways, let's move on here. So that was some good news there for everybody, I think.
I think so too. I think it's good.
Yeah. So we got some more questions. Will the website be modified to, keep the new stat categories in NHL 21? So they listed off all these new stat categories. They're adding way more stats. Saucer passes is one of them. I'm just pulling off the list. Like, okay. But is the website going to be updated to account all these?
So we have some emails out right now, and basically every single stat that's going to be available via the API will be available on the website. So
All right.
as it sounds right now, like early confirmation, it sounds like all of that shit will be in the API, so then yes, it'll all be in the stat system as well too.
Wow. Okay. More breaking news. All right. Wow. We're just rifling off breaking news today. Paul, I guess you don't have anything to add on this one, right?
No, that's pretty much it.
Okay, let's move on. Fleet asked another question. He wants a World Juniors tab on the top of the website. I'm a little curious. It used to be there. Like, it was taken down. I don't know why.
Yeah, Triz can do it. That's a Triz thing. So it all depends on what's going on. I can't say yes or no. It's kind of like flavor of the moment, right? Like whatever he's doing. If there's other things that are super active, it's based on activity too. So if something's like super active, he may not have anything there except all the active stuff. So I don't know. Hard to say that, but that's kind of that's his baby, not mine.
Okay. Trimmy asked, what about? I think Trimmy, if AGMs are now protected, so if you re-sign an AGM, they're protected. That's correct, right? I'm not speaking out of turn.
Yeah, that is correct, 100%.
Okay.
If you re-sign a player, make them AGM, they cannot be called up this season.
Okay. So AGM is pretty much protected. That's all you really need.
Yeah.
Well, and there's other things now, but that's the important part. AGM is not protected.
Yeah, big one for you guys, yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Again. Zumik asked 2 questions. We already talked about the expansion one, so just forget about that. He wants to know about awards that have previously been given out on the website. So there's already coding. He's talking about like season 3. I have it on the screen right now. Like there used to be all these awards, humanitarian of the year.
Yeah, so
you got to bring the humanitarian of the year one back. Come on now.
I know so basically right now there's so much stuff. So one, there's right off the hop, there's a website glitch that Tris can't figure out yet that like removes your shit sometimes. So if guys that like, hey man, I won a player of the week like 6 years ago, like can you add it back? No, bro, I can't add it back. I don't have access to do that. It's a website glitch that'll get fixed eventually.
Mm-hmm.
All of the other, so basically I tasked CJ with a couple things. One of them was go through the actual ECHL, CHL, all of the actual awards that we do not have, create them. Go to someone who does graphics, give them the dimensions of the award logos, get them created, and then go through the actual like point value of all these awards and make it so it's legit and like not stupid. So CJ's going to do that. So we'll get all of the legitimate awards will be added back for the ECHL, everyone included, and then we can go and like make sure that everything's like issued correctly. So that's what's going on with the award.
Okay. Anything to add, Paul?
Nope.
All right, let's move on.
Pretty straightforward.
Keep it rolling along. Okay, so everybody, finally we're here. I know everybody's been asking about it. Teal has been going off about it in the chat. I think somebody put West Lacoste Lives Matter, which is just, I don't know about that to comment, but
That's a little aggressive.
But everybody's been asking about the West Coast situation. Teal on screen has his take where you should allow the home team to pick the coast. But Eamon makes a great counterpoint where if you're a bad team playing a good team and you're all East, the bad team can just pick the West Coast server to attempt to squeak out a win on terrible ping somehow. So there's there's a counterpoint there kind of situation. So basically, you talked about this in inbox. I do read them, so one of the few. But you want to just elaborate on the whole West Coast, like this choosing the server situation? You can go ahead.
So first and foremost, it's not my fault or LG's fault that the central server isn't central. So I don't want to hear any blah, blah, blah. I don't care. It's not my fault. I didn't make it. I didn't pick it. EA's choice. Secondly, those of you that have been around long enough that remember playing in leagues when there was lobbies, the lobby rules used to be that whoever is red bar, which would have been the Western players, is not eligible to host the game. So all of the Westies that are old school and have played in the league forever literally played on 80, 90 ping, and some of them still dominated the league at the NHL tier on the higher ping. Right. LG has been notorious and been around for so long that right now it's like 80% of the community is Eastern players. That's just the way it's always been. The system in place for Club Challenge is so broken that prior to them patching it, it actually didn't even consider home team versus away team. Yeah. It looked at the first team that searched and then their 6 ping, which allowed teams to literally quote unquote steal hosts, which is a joke, complete joke. The other aspect of that as well too is I don't care what anyone says. To say that a game is competitive where one team is 100 ping and their opponent is 12 or 15 or 5 ping, that's competitive based on the fact that, we're the home team, we should have home ice advantage. That is not competitive in any fucking sense of the word competitive, in my opinion. So then I've also had teams do this. I've had teams do some testing during the beta where I've had deep South California teams do testing for ping, where they're pinging, their own hosts, they're pinging really well, right? But they're pinging 110 to the northeastern server. Right. They're pinging 100 to the eastern server, and then they're pinging 60 to 65 to 70 to the central server. Right. Okay, that's a little bit better. Most of the guys that are Florida, Carolina, the southern eastern teams, they're pinging roughly 40 to 45 to 50 to the central server. So if you're going to play a game where one team's 60, 65, 70, and their opponent is 35, 40, 45, 50, that is going to be a more competitive game based on the fact that the pings are closer together than having someone completely disadvantaged. Myself personally, I ping northeastern. I'm in Ottawa, so I'm northeastern. I ping 12 to that server. I ping about 28 to 30 on the central. I ping about 35 to 30 to 35 on the eastern, and then the western ones I'm anywhere from 60 to 90. So having central being used, even though it's not true central, which I totally get, is still going to create a better advantage. In my opinion, there's no skill involved when you just send your opponent to a game where they have extremely high ping. Right. That's not a skill. And it's only been in the last little while where that's been quote unquote a strategy. And it's only been a strategy because EA's system was fucked. And and even too, from talking with EA, I've had lots of high level debates with the gameplay developer for ESHL. Right. I personally do not think very many LG games ever touched the central server. I think they either went to central. I think they either went east or west. Right. Which is drastic ping swings. So I've had people too in Vancouver say, "Well, I ping better to the the northeastern server than I do to central." Well, I was in Vancouver when they introduced the central server, and we tested the whole week on that server. And when I was in Vancouver, we were pinging 45 to 50 from Vancouver to the central server. Right. So there's going to be some debates. People are always going to play that. Well, the home ice card. We have kind of discussed it as staff and thought, well, maybe we can run the home ice card during the playoffs. Maybe that's what you get for home ice advantage. Right. For all the esports stuff, it's literally going to be based on people who are in the game. Triz also has built a system which is super fucking cool, which will basically look at your register IP address or your most recent IP address on the website. It looks at where the IP address is, what its longitude and latitude coordinates are, right. And then from there it'll calculate your distance from each of the servers. Once again, obviously, if you're routed differently through your router, it's not going to be completely accurate. But based on that statistics, Triz can tell you what server you're geographically closer to,
Mm-hmm.
which then will be utilized in a formula to determine what server should be used for each game based on the 12 users in the game. Which is essentially what EA always wanted to do, but I think they've done it wrong for so long because they were missing part of the formula.
Right.
So that's the gist of it. So we're not going to a system where home ice gets to pick, especially because look the situation that you said where it's like, yeah, we're both East, but like let's go play this game in fucking Germany because we need to drag one out here. Because you can do that. Like,
there's the European servers an option. Is that an option?
Yeah,
Ooh,
absolutely.
I want.
That should be the new standard then. Everyone on Europe servers.
Yeah.
LG
season on Euro servers. Let's do it.
Watch the sound numbers drop to like below 100.
Oh, I'd do it.
So yeah, that's my stance on it. It's not competitive. My hope is too that obviously in the future, like I've been pushing for this for years, and I've been pushing for them to get a better central server that's more central. Somewhere like Colorado area, somewhere that's like central.
Mm-hmm.
But it's up to them, right? They use Amazon servers for their system, so it's kind of based on where those are located, and they don't have a lot of control. So that's my goal. I hope they get something a little bit better, but at this time, like for the competitive balance of the league, this makes the most amount of sense.
So wait, are you going to essentially try to make the central kind of the go-to server now with LG, or is it just kind of predicated on who's in the game? So
it'll be predicated who's on the game.
Okay.
So if there's 12 QC guys playing each other, well, they're going to be on the QC server. Or if there's like 12 Western guys playing, they're not going to Central. They're going to be playing on California or one of the Southern servers, right? So
it's essentially, if it's East versus West, it will just go to Central. Is what you're saying.
In a nutshell, basically. Which is also
okay.
So
that makes sense. Then it's good. Okay. All right. That's some breaking news.
But even still, there's one consideration, right? So there's like northeastern, eastern, central. So if you have like say 6 guys in Quebec and 6 guys in Washington, the guys in Quebec are going to ping Wicked to their server. The guys in Washington are going to ping Wicked to their server, but maybe they ping equally to Central. So that game might go Central rather than go one or the other based on the fact that it'd be a little bit more of an advantage for one of the teams, if that makes sense.
Sweet.
No, it could be the fact that the QC guys are like 5 to their server, the other guys are 35. But both teams are, say, 40 or 35 to the Central server, where it's fair.
Gotcha. That was your breaking news there. I think all the guys were really excited about this question, and I think they're all very disappointed, all the West guys. And especially Teal. He is not happy right now. You could just...
It's the way it is. It's the way it was before, too. So,
anyways, let's move on. Okay, so now we're on to the esports segment of the show. Paul is very excited about this one. So, so basically my question, I think these are the official Twitch channels of I think these are the ones that have been kicking around in LG. I'm not too sure. But how was the CBJ Cup? How was it received by these NHL teams? And can we expect to see more tournaments like this in the future? Go ahead.
Yeah, so first and foremost, the guys from Columbus were incredible to work with. They actually came to us, which was super groundbreaking, super cool. We had really good meetings. We had a crazy turnaround time. We met June 10th, and then we flipped the switch on a season July 12th, and that's going through all of their legal and everything, right? So those guys were just awesome to work with. For us, we obviously like the opportunity to work with an NHL organization. It's something that it's one of those bucket list things that we said we wanted to do, and it kind of blends in to the LGHL as well, right? That opportunity with Columbus opened up, networking with Florida, with New Jersey, with LA, with
there was Kings too,
with the Ducks, with the Kings weren't in that event, but we've been talking to them as well too.
Okay.
So it's just it opened up so many avenues, and then that stemmed into the Anaheim Ducks. Following the Anaheim Ducks in the LGHL through the playoff run, right? And using, getting some exposure for their channel, which then is other teams are like, yo, we want to do that. So we have meetings coming up for all that stuff as well. So
nice.
It was just crazy exposure. In regards to the tournament side of stuff, I can't get into much details. So much of it's new, and I don't want say something and then not happen, and then promise something that doesn't happen. So right now, it's like my hopes are obviously to continue on the path that we're going, where we're running tournaments for NHL organizations or other organizations that want to do them. That's definitely the avenue and the goal that we are looking to continue. So fingers crossed things keep going that direction so we can keep heading in this path. But as of right now, it's pretty awesome to see where we've networked with these companies.
Anything to add, Paul? I know you're the esports guy of this panel here.
So I'm actually kind of interested because the esports has been, in a lot of ways, the top tier teams wildly successful. I think you'd probably agree with how everything's panned out. It's been pretty good for the website as a whole. One of the problems, though, with the esports, ESHL, I should say, as a ladder is probably the middle to the lower tier teams that enter into that ladder really don't have a great chance of beating these top level type teams, like these top level talents. Have you ever thought about making like how would I put this, like a semi-pro amateur ESHL ladder, right? So you have like the big boys playing the big boys, and then you kind of have these middle to low tier teams playing each other and more of a competitive aspect.
So the Swiss format does that in the sense that you're going to play teams that you're competitive with. So the games are quality, but you are right. You have no really shot at the money. I definitely have some stuff written down that I'd like to explore, which would be like quote unquote Saturday night puck style systems that are buy-in. So like bring your club, pay the money, play for the money kind of deal. But it would be only, once again, it would be like only open to like the CHL or only open to like the AHL. So it does give you the opportunity to, throw $100 into a pool, play a weekend tournament, win the money. Based on the fact that the only way I could really do that is if I use the current CHL format. So like, based on where you're playing in the LGHL to restrict you where you can play, which is like, if I'm going to be completely honest, which is also another like underlying reason why we can't really have RA veteran players on active rosters, because it's like that skews that whole system as well too. So that is definitely like one of the motivations too. If I want to introduce a pro series esport kind of system for the CHL and then AHL, I have to make sure that it's those tiers are as true to their skill level as possible.
Yeah. So just to add to that, I feel like if you're going to do that too, you're going to have to really tighten up management criteria even more. You can't allow top tier guys taking management.
No. Yeah, absolutely. That's a big part of it for sure too.
So is this going to be kind of linked to, from what maybe I'm wrong with this assumption, but from what you're telling me is that so it'll be more tied to each CHL type team with these new lower level tournaments, or can you just sign up with CHL level talent friends, right, and enter this like buy-in tournament?
Yeah.
Like what's the?
It doesn't. Yeah, so basically, they don't all have to be like, for instance, the Windsor Spitfires. They don't all have to be on Windsor. I can bring
no
CHL like Rapid City, and I can bring a player from London and.
No, it'll have basically, it'll have nothing to do with the. It'll have nothing to do with the team you play on in the CHL. It'll just have everything to do with the fact that you're playing in the CHL. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. Yeah. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, so I don't care at all if you're, I don't care at all if you're, what team you're on in the C, as long as you're in the C.
Okay. Well, sorry, go ahead, Paul.
And just one thing to kind of like wrap it up. Now, let's say you play in these CHL tournaments and you keep just one team or one group of people, I should say, keeps like, I don't know, beating or doing extremely well. Would you kind of limit them from entering in future tournaments and have them sign up to like the upper league ESHL, or as long as they're in the CHL, you would allow them to have eligibility to play in these lower level tournaments?
I don't know. I haven't thought that deep into it yet. So like obviously all the sponsored events by NHL teams are going to be open to everyone, right? Because that's the goal. They all want as much as they can. But if you look back, like, Rux has ran tournaments where it's been like a bigger buy-in, which is like catered towards the top tier teams playing against each other. Right? That's like catered to you guys paying $120 for a tournament and like getting shelled every game, right? So basically the same idea as that. Is we'd offer something, and over time, if we have to adjust it so there's like a gold, silver, bronze, or whatever it may be, then we would offer that ability to move up. But I think just kind of like early stage stuff. It's like basically if I said, "Hey boys, like Saturday night puck this weekend is a $50 buy-in. Bring your team. First place gets 80%. Second place gets 20%. Let's do it." I think we would see, we get enough teams sign up for that are willing to pay that to win the money, and then that's kind of the direction we could go to have like a quote unquote like development league for the esports side of things. Because if you look at like NHL Gamer does a very good job of like running like an esports system league where it's like they have like so many. They don't really run like a simulation style league that we do. They just run like very, very well tiered esport events. So to kind of go that way and kind of mimic that system to offer esports style money tournaments for the CHL, that's the way to go. And then the goal could then be is like, well, maybe then we get the CHL sponsored by a CHL team, right? Maybe we get something like that and kind of go from that direction. But I think early level development of this, what makes the most amount of sense is like, let's just go. If you're playing in the CHL, you're meant to be in the CHL. Here's the opportunity, play on a team, pay a buy-in, win the money, and then see where it goes.
Right.
Okay.
You satisfied, Paul?
I'm satisfied with that answer.
All right. Well, the next one was about the same thing you just mentioned. What we were going to bring up next about SNP becoming like kind of incentivized like a prize pool and stuff. But
yeah,
I don't know. Same with Friday Night Puck. You just brought that up, and pretty much. Is there anything you want to further elaborate, Paul, on this, or?
No, you kind of just summed it up pretty
clearly. You answered it
clearly.
before we can ask the question. So you greased us, McDonald. You fucking greased us. So.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So that's that question there. I don't know what this question was. Oh man, I didn't have it written down, but that's that. Anyways, let's move on. No, there was a reason to this. I just forget. But anyways, whatever. Okay, so now we're getting into the final stretch here, the media questions. Okay, so this one has more to do about the playoff, like pick'em. Okay, so as you can see here on this slide, when the playoff pick'em comes out, it pretty much takes up the entire forms. So if somebody's writing up, a playoff preview, it pretty much, like, you pretty much don't get any exposure. So how can the league, for instance, me, if I want to upload something and put it on a playoff preview, how can I? Well, I know I could, like, for instance, me, a media tag, like, I can go above the shout box, which is, that's for me, I have the tag. But if I'm an independent freelance writer who wants to write something, for instance, and
that's an easy fix too. So if you go to like, there's one of the sub forums is like, there's actually a thread made for every new player that signs up, right? You know that? It's like, hey, welcome to the whatever.
Okay.
That's used to go on the main page too, and then the league blew up. So it was like the same thing. It was like every day it'd be like 100 different threads. It was like, welcome, player A to the Windsor Spitfires, and it'd be a forum post. Those forum posts are still generated, but they just go into a sub form where no one sees it. So that I just wrote that down in my notes for Triz. I can get him to fix that. So all the pick'em threads just go to a different section.
Okay, that's I guess that's breaking news. Is it breaking news?
I don't know if it can happen yet. I have to ask, but I know he can do it. It's just like, where does that fit on the priority list of things that need to be done?
Right.
But I definitely can get that. I can definitely get that fixed for sure.
Okay. That was one of my questions. As the concerned media guy, looking out for
for sure. No, for sure. We definitely can adjust that to make it like better for everyone.
I'm looking out for Captain Paul in this case. Anyways, anything to add on this, Paul, or no?
No, that's pretty straightforward.
Let's move on. I think this is the final question. So we have some influencers on the website. Let's not pretend we don't. These are just a few of them I've seen kicking around. Nasher obviously being the biggest one.
Oh, God.
No sleeves. I think that's the same guy. Yeah, I think that's his YouTube. So he's got some numbers, and Tactics has some numbers too. He didn't, but Tactics is not really a successful CHLer, to be honest.
No, he sucks at sixes.
Yeah. But they're big names. Is there any? Like I noticed when Nasher plays, LG isn't really prominent in his title or anything. Like, you know what I mean? Is there any way you can get guys like this? And guys, I know there's some guys that play sixes. Like for instance, Steve Dangle. I know he plays. Is there anything like I know him and his crew do, like his little media gang over there. Like, but yeah. Is there any way that like LG is working with these people or? I don't know. Is there any way to get him more involved?
Yeah. So I think Nasher is too big of a fish now.
Sorry. Can you repeat that?
I think Nasher is like a little bit too big of a fish to really
Right.
get anything done for free. I don't even blame him. He's so fucked up. He's done so well for himself, right? Australia only gets to like. But 20 degrees. Sleeves was actually one of the casters for the last event for TBJ. Like Sleeves called all the games,
Right.
so he reps us really well.
Yeah. I've seen him. That's why.
Tactics is more of a hype guy, right? So a lot of the big influences are until we get unless we reintroduce a hot league that's like more competitive. So picky. We're not really going to see much push from some of those guys. Most of the top influencers with the exceptions of Nasher. So I would put Nasher in that same category too, because dude is a sixes player more than anything. A lot of those guys don't really pump anything more until they say hi to mom and dad. Hey, mom and dad. That's Brody. And he's the one running the business. Sorry, I'm with my roommate's parents on Skype with us. So I don't see most of them, and most of them too. Like, it's hard to really. I think the other thing too is the perception of LG is like we're this money making corporation. So it's like when you're a successful influencer and I come to you and say, hey man, do you mind plugging our site for free? And like, no, fuck you, like you're this big company. It's like, no, bro, we're not. Like you're probably bigger than we are. So I think that's tough to do, but I think we need to do a better job of like promoting and supporting the community in those things as well. Like all the guys that are like quote unquote LG players, when they get into like more events or bigger stuff, we need to like really pump their tires and use our promoters. So I definitely think that we could go that route. Mm-hmm. The other route I think, which isn't really being talked about, is the fact that if we get like what we did with the Ducks, for example, if they sign on board and we do it for the season and they get the actual Anaheim Mighty Ducks Twitter involved,
yeah,
that Twitter's got like 1 million followers,
right?
So it's like
I was wondering about that.
We have the so that's the thing is basically all these organizations have these like gaming channels set up, and they're all in the preliminary stage where they're just like trying to like make their name known in the space to be like, we can do this. Mm-hmm. So our goal right now for LG is to support these guys to help them be successful so they can do it. And then once they hit it big and go, we can do this, and the organization goes, yeah, you can, we support you, then every single thing we do with that gaming organization then translates into being with the NHL organization. So it's like, we have got Ducks Gaming promoting, like, we're playing, LG's playing tonight, woo. We may have like the Anaheim Mighty Ducks going, like, yeah, let's go. And it's like, that's 1 million people that see that.
Yeah, I'm a little curious. It's like, did the Columbus Blue Jackets tweet out about the tournament? I'm a little surprised they didn't get their Twitter involved a little bit. The big league club.
Yeah, so that's the thing is like right now, with the exception of the Washington Capitals, which I would say are the premier in the space right now. Right. Everyone else is just starting out, and they're gonna get there. Like there's the people that are behind the scenes running these gaming things are like high level people. They're all like young, they're enthusiastic, they've got goals, they've got dreams, they've got a plan. They're going to get there. And that's what we're going to see. We'll see that in the future. How quick it's going to be, not really sure. But we definitely will see something in the future where these successful gaming organizations will have the backing of the NHL teams, which have like major implications for social media and social influence. So that's huge.
Okay. By the way, is there an influencer I missed?
I
think Revive's kind of borderline.
What about what's his name? SBC Productions. What's his name?
Does he play LG? 2BC?
I don't.
Is that his name?
I
He
don't
has,
know.
he has before.
That guy's
Sogs
big, though.
Sogs played LG. There's been so many of the guys that have played. Almost the only guy that hasn't that I think might be coming is Baking Country. Like most of these guys have played some form of LG down the road. Because it's like we're the name that everyone knows, right? So it's like, let's go play some simulation hockey and try something out. So, but yeah, I think most of them have tried it. But once again, they also have their own priorities and their own things kind of working on. So like I said, I don't really want to push, harass Nash and his DMs to promote my league. You know what I mean?
Well, if he's playing in the league, he's I'm playing in this LG tournament. Like, that's it.
No,
you don't have to
I've met most of these guys too. Right? Sleeves is a diehard San Jose Shark fan. So I was with Sleeves in Vancouver in his hotel room, crushing pints as his San Jose Sharks came back and beat Vegas last year. Like I was with him when that happened.
Mm-hmm.
It's super funny. I've got some pretty funny pictures. Because he's so superstitious that when the Sharks run the power play, he brushes his teeth. So he literally brushed his teeth for that entire 5-minute period when they came back and tied the game. It was hilarious. I've got some pretty funny pictures from that. So
nice.
It's just I met most of these guys. They're all super super chill dudes, man. Tactics HD, really really good kid.
Right.
I had a lot of fun with him at the casino, and so it's all these guys are pretty laid back guys, but at the end of the day, they have their own priorities, which I respect. I wish them all the best, and it's great to see these guys have so much success. But until we're at a point where maybe we hit a high level contract or something where we can give someone some cash to help us out or whatever, I don't really want to go just kind of pull the hey man, can you promote us for free card just because you know me? I don't really want to go that route.
Yeah.
So. But
not for free. I'm just saying, is there any way? But it didn't. But yeah, I get where you're coming from. Also. Just one thing, Nasher, I remember this in specific. He did sign up for the CHL one season. He got a $4.5 million contract, and then he was brutal. So, I think he needs to come back and prove himself, but that's just my opinion. If he comes to the CHL bidding, he's going to get $10 million, though. So
I think what most people don't realize about him is he wasn't a gamer that made it big, right? Gaming is just a secondary thing for him.
Right.
He made it huge for all of his GoPro videos and all the cool things he did with Men's League and his trick shots and his channel. That channel was huge before he even got into gaming. The gaming was just something. Gaming's new to him. It's
right.
very very new to him, right? So, and obviously he's competed at the top level tournaments and have done. He hasn't won anything yet, but he's definitely showed that he can compete at that level. So if he came back and played in the CHL, he would be probably a really good player. So
right. I don't disagree. People can get better. Look at me. I've played in the CHL. I feel like I'm way better than where I was. But
absolutely. Well, everyone gets better over time, right?
For sure. Paul, anything final to add on this subject before we move into viewer questions? If you're watching.
No. That's honestly. You pretty much answered everything how it is. It's just going to be. Will you guys kind of? How about this? If there's smaller content creators, right, that kind of promote LG, would you kind of not necessarily promote them on the website all the time, but would you kind of give them promotion over other streams and stuff like that, like non-LG game times?
We've been talking about that recently about how we can. How we could utilize that promotion to a better to give you guys more opportunity. At the same time, it's just it's tough to find more time, right? It's prime time is very specific for each league, but yeah, it's something we can look at for sure.
I try to avoid the Ducks, and I try to go in times where it's clear cut, but
yeah, I agree. It's tough though, right?
Yeah, well, yeah. People still I thank LG because people still even when I'm not promoted, people come because they like my content now. So, LG gave me the opportunity to succeed, I guess. Yeah, I would say this is successful.
We gave you a platform basically.
For sure.
You've done the rest.
Yeah, I've worked a lot of hours.
It's a lot of work, man.
Oh yeah, no, people don't realize that. It's not.
They have no idea.
Anyways, yeah, so we're going to move on to the final thing. We got some questions for you to answer from the audience.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And then that's it. If you didn't get a question in, now's your chance, or else you're pretty much done. You can't.
Yeah, we're
After
2
this,
hours
this is
deeper.
Yeah, I know. Like, this is usually how my shows go, by the way. I get way...
That's-
My playoff preview shows, because you, McDonald, have put 86 fucking teams in the league, I have to sit down and cover every single series. So I do it in depth, too. I don't mail things in, right? So I try to do every... this season, I got smarter, though. I split the shows into, like, 2 leagues each, and it was still, like, 2 hours each. So it didn't even... I did 4 hours worth of playoff shows. It was ridiculous. Yeah.
That's a lot of work, man.
I think we got a question, though, earlier from Fly. He said, what are your thoughts on an experience of a very high-end non-LG player having to spend his first season in a prospects-only CHL where the skill level is very low? So I'm guessing he's alluding to Lemlin and Doughty here. Do you think that experience would turn those players off from playing LG again or even ever joining the league in the first place?
So I've said this for many, many years, and I truly believe it. And I believe it even more now because we have the esports league. Is the LGHL is not for top tier league players. It's simply not. It's
right.
It's for people that like that simulation aspect, that like to play, GM connected. Like that's what it is.
Right.
So if you are this Mr. Ego top guy that comes in, you can't accept the fact that you have to start at the bottom like everyone else, then this isn't for you. Sorry. But we have ESHL, which allows you to play for money. So at the same token, we have a lot of guys like Jay Claus is a good example. Jay Claus, was the star centerman for the team that won the Caps event. He's an NHL owner on both consoles, plus plays the ESHL. Like, where does this guy have the fucking time? Like, he literally.
Yeah, I don't know how Jay Claus does it, man. That guy's the goat.
And he's elite. Like, he's like probably the best centerman in the world. And he plays.
I would say he's the best player in the world.
Like he plays in every single thing we offer. He plays in everything that's offered. And he still does it, right? But when I talk to him, I've always said to him, I was like, bro, like, you come out. I talk to him every year. Are you coming back as ownership? Yeah. Both consoles? Yeah. Are you sure? Absolutely, man. I fucking love this. And he literally loves it. He loves the simulation aspect. He loves building the team. He understands that what the experience is supposed to be and loves it and thrives in it. Where like other people just like, I just want to play with my buddies. It's like, yeah, then go play esports. Like that's what it's for. Like. You know what I mean? So I think that it does. You know what? I don't want to say it sucks, but maybe it does suck. You're too good for the CHL, but it's the step you take and the price you have to pay to be able to play at the next level.
For sure.
And seriously, what's one season? If you're elite, you're getting drafted. You're getting drafted. So play one season, which is what? You're committing 3 games a week. You're committing an hour and a half a week for potentially 13 weeks if you go to the Memorial Cup. That is not too much of a commitment to have.
Right. Just a quick little fun fact. Jay Claus played in the CHL before, and I'm guessing he's the reason why the contracts was changed. Because he was $500K. And Roland J traded him to Victoria for nothing.
That's embarrassing.
Oh, yeah. He was $500K, and yeah. I think we have another question earlier from Trimmy. I'm just trying to find it. He's asking if there's any talk of changing the playoff structure so the MEM semifinals isn't a best of 5. Is there anything about that?
I'm going to not just talk about anything related to the playoff structure, to be honest, because I've kind of how the playoffs play out at the CHL tier is completely up to what the owners want and what the staff feels best. So I don't want to speak out of turn and say, yeah, we're going to change this because there's benefits and pros and cons to either side. I think if there's a legitimate argument made by the owners and they can come to an agreement that this is what they want to do for that, and the staff supports it and feels it's good, and they present it to me, that's the direction we're going to go. So that's all I'm going to really say about that. So things can definitely change if the ownership group gets together, works together, makes an adjustment, and then presents it to management, presents it to my staff with like, hey, this is going to work. And my staff buys in, and then my staff comes to me. That's how change is definitely made. So that if there is a better way to do something, and the staff is on board, then we're going to do it.
Oxy asked, will CJ survive without me?
I guess we're going to find out.
There's your answer.
So far, so good.
There was a question on the ECHL split. We already covered that. I don't think there's anything. There's a lot on the West. The server, they had a huge debate about this, but is there anything else you want to add here, Paul?
No, I think we tackled a lot of questions. There's not many more I see from the chat.
Okay, I got a question for you, McDonald. Did you want to strangle Paul when he put that video up? Go ahead.
No, that was actually super funny. I was at work, woke up in the morning off shift, and then I was in the kitchen having breakfast at work before I went home. And I was like, I better check in on the site. I guess I had a day or two off. I was like, I better go check in. So I'm like going through it, check my alerts. I'm like, I'm tagged. I'm like, okay, go check this out. I'm like, oh, it's a video. I'm like, oh yeah, what a sick title. Let's listen to this. So I put it on. I had my headphones on in the lunchroom, so I was like listening to it. I was like, wow, this guy doesn't have a fucking clue. So I listened to the whole thing. I was like, okay. Then I saw him a message. I was like, we should talk about this because one, people that know me and know what's up, you make this sound completely. You make it sound like it's way worse than it is. And two, the people that that are newer may actually listen to you and believe it, which is when it's not true. So we address that pretty quickly. But yeah, no, it's fine. I don't really take this personal, man. It is what it is. When you're at the top, it tends to be. You have to kind of accept the fact that everyone wants to take a shot and everyone has an opinion and people think they can do it better and just the way it is when you run the league.
Yeah, that's a common theme.
Well, heavy is the head that wears the crown.
Okay, so Eamon and Fly just echoed his question here. He says, so this is from Eamon. Has EA mentioned anything about how cross-gen play will work? The game isn't released on new gen, but it's forward compatible. Microsoft has already demonstrated how old gen games played on new gen, even without optimization or from Microsoft nor the dev, results in significantly faster load times and presumably a more responsive game.
So what we've been told is 21 is a PlayStation 4 and an Xbox One game. So if you buy the new consoles, they both have backwards capability, which then will allow you to play the game on that. Has it been tested, tried? No. All we've been told is the game you'll be able to play on your new console. So that's all I really know, to be honest.
So there's no, I saw this question earlier, but I thought you wouldn't know too much about this one.
Yeah, it's very obviously I'm in the loop of what they want to do. But right now, I don't know 100% how it's going to
I'm pretty sure they're just making it for Xbox One and PS4. There's not going to be 100%. PS5 copies, right?
100% there will not be.
So, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we're finished here. Thank you for doing this, McDonald. Thank you, Paul, as well. Paul, I'll start with you. Is there anything you want to plug before you head off the show?
I'm gonna have a series throughout the season. Keep an eye out for that.
Would you do it again?
Pretty much it.
All right, Paul, sprinkling his media genius once again into the mix. McDonald, is there anything you want to promote before you exit the show?
No, sign up for the season. We haven't signed up yet. Some people tend to wait for the last second. And besides that, no, I just want to obviously thank you guys for the effort you put in. This is a lot of work to do a media show and get the questions together and get ready and run it. So definitely success. I actually enjoy doing this stuff. It's a lot better. People don't really know me, and verbal communication is a lot more clear than written communication, especially from me. So
I think
definitely like doing this stuff. It's a lot better.
For sure. I think for sure people will see this and not just think you're a robot that wants to kill them or something. I don't know.
Oh, wait.
Go ahead, Paul.
One question, just last thing. Do you plan on doing more media throughout the year, like through various different shows?
Yeah.
I'm definitely my schedule is awesome, so I'm available to do as much as you guys would like. Within reason, so if there's opportunity for
every day,
yeah, if there's opportunity for me to jump on a show, I definitely can. On PlayStation, there was a media guy that I was really tight with that I do preseason, mid-season, end of season. I did both for a long time. He's no longer with us though. But yeah, so I have no issues jumping on if you guys want to do a segment or you want me to pipe on or whatever it may be. Even if you legitimately wanted weekly content, I could probably do it pre-recorded. Where just give me when's your show, give me an opportunity to get on and you can ask them a question.
Yeah, that's a Paul thing.
I could do that. Really,
I'm a
really
live
easy.
guy,
So
I like being live. That's a Paul thing. So yeah,
I'm more pre-record edit guy myself.
Paul likes to control the edit.
Yeah, it's easy. I could do that, no problem. But definitely, like I said, I do enjoy doing this, especially at the CHL tier, because I think it's more appreciated at that tier than any other tier. Right? The NHL guys have known me forever; they don't give a fuck anymore.
Maybe
the AHL.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was in the AHL tier I normally play at, so they all are just so used to me, or I play on their teams, or in their chats, or they have a little bit more of a. But they have more. They find it easier just to reach out to me and talk to me. So, but the CHL tier. Definitely, especially for the last little while, me not being playing in the league or whatever, I think it would be a good opportunity to obviously do more media there for sure if available.
For sure. By the way, if you want, you can come on for my bidding show. I did one last season. It did really well. I think you guys tweeted about it. I averaged more views than Nasher. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that was pretty great. If you want to come on for that show, you're more than welcome. I'm gonna do all levels. Like I'm now not managing, so I can do all levels. So, Thanks for coming on the show. Open some eyes.
I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Thank you, and thank you everybody for watching. Sorry, go ahead, Paul.
No problem.
And thank you all for watching, and we'll see you all next.